Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review. This movie is a horror comedy from the United States, English language, released in the year 2005, directed by John Gallagher, and this film is called Feast. So Feast is set in a bar in the middle of nowhere surrounded by desert, and we're introduced to the patrons who frequent this establishment. So you've got a waitress who is trying the best to make a life for herself and a young son, the owner who's a very, very sleazy individual, the bartender who is the guy of wisdom, you've got an older prostitute, and also a whole host of other characters that make up the film. So this particular evening that the movie is set on is going to be unlike any other evening they've ever experienced when a married couple arrive. Now they barge through the door and they say that they had a crash, but something has followed them from the car to the bar, and whatever has followed them is a very, very dangerous threat. And so they say barricade the windows, the doors, and be prepared to fight for your life. So the patrons don't know what to think of this, but they soon realise that the threat is very true and their night has turned into a bloody fight for survival. So whether or not they can make it till dawn is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Feast. If you guys are regulars to my channel, I have gone through what I believe is a great horror comedy and the reasons why a lot of horror comedies don't work. Now you have a fine line between humour and horror, and if you're making a horror comedy, to me you have to balance those two genres. If you have a movie that's full of scares but not many laughs, or too many laughs and not many scares, it doesn't really capture the true essence of horror comedy. So more often than not they are a miss as far as I'm concerned, and I rarely see a horror comedy that really nails it out of the park as far as juggling those two genres. It's a very, very difficult thing to do. There have been a whole host of films that have been a very good effort, but rarely do you see a film that fine-tunes those genres to actually meld into a whole genre of its own. So Feast, I was actually very surprised that I hadn't reviewed this movie. Now this came out a long time ago. I've seen this movie multiple times, but I never really remembered reviewing it. So when I checked on my channel, I realised, okay, I hadn't reviewed it. I don't know why, but for some reason it just slipped by. So I thought I'll watch it again and I'll give my fresh thoughts on it, because I definitely think Feast is a film that I have to review. And the reason why I have to review Feast is because it's one of my favourite horror comedies out there. This is a film that has so many laughs. The characters are absolutely fantastic. You got Henry Rollins, who plays this life coach, I thought was absolutely hilarious. You got a whole host of other characters. Not only are they very funny, but there are some characters that you can really sympathise for their situation. So you have a strong sense of these people that you can actually relate to because of how funny they are, or how quirky they are, or as I said, the sympathetic qualities, especially this waitress. And so I thought it really has a very good platform. It's a very quirky style that the movie opens up with, and so you really get yourself set for a caricature kind of horror film. But I thought to myself, all right, well, it is very quirky and it has made me laugh a few times to start with, but how is the horror going to complement these laughs? And so as the movie goes on and we realise the threat outside this bar, I thought, I am really getting into this movie. I thought the outside threat was really scary. I mean, there is something out there that was just, it was very, very brutal. Some of the scenes of violence, I thought, you know, I really sympathised with the victims in this movie because of how brutal the actual gore was. This is an incredibly gory film and it's really well done. Is because you're actually shocked. Well, for me, I was actually shocked at some of the scenes and how far they went as far as physical pain is concerned. And that's where I thought, all right, I kind of feel bad for laughing at this. And that was the true essence of dark humour. And for me, dark humour belongs in horror comedy, is that you're laughing, but at the same time, you're actually freaked out by what you're seeing. And I think John Gallagher nailed it to absolute perfection as far as making you laugh at horrific things. And so that to me is melding the two genres together and actually making it work. And so that's what I really, really like. This is a film that is very politically incorrect. There are jokes in this movie that are going to offend people, but that's what I love. I love films that are not afraid to offend. In today's age, everyone is tiptoeing around each other in order not to offend someone. We're being too polite. But this movie reminded me of rock and roll, you know, the rock and roll genre. It's not about, you know, pretty looks. It's not about, you know, tiptoeing around the issue. It's about getting into it, having a lot of fun, and at the same time sticking your middle finger up at the PC crowd. And that's exactly what Feast does. I loved every minute of this movie. It's not a great film. It's not a movie that's going to win an Oscar, but it's one of the most incredibly entertaining, funny, and scary movies that I have seen in a long time. You've got the setting that was absolutely perfect. I don't know what it is about isolated bars, But when you have that battleground atmosphere, I thought it really worked well. The actual atmosphere and the scenery and the setting made me think of a film called Splinter, which wasn't a horror comedy, but that was set in a gas station. And so I don't know what it is about these single settings where it's isolated, and so the threat is coming from the outside into the bar in this film, and in Splinter it was the gas station. But it's just basically fighting off this threat, and help is not around. Help is quite far away. And so by the time help arrives, you're pretty much going to be dead. And so I really like the settings of these types of movies, and I really think John Gallagher nailed it as far as a really, really funny script. The characters are fantastic. The violence is so brutal that I felt sorry for the people going through this pain, and it actually disturbed me in a few instances. And there were instances that were so offensive that they were really, really funny. And so this is the true essence of a horror comedy. This is one of the rare American horror comedies that really worked on all levels. And for that, I really have to congratulate John Gallagher in delivering a film that I watch multiple times. But you have to watch it with the right people, because if you don't watch it with someone who is a seasoned sort of veteran as far as offensive horror films are concerned, they're going to look at you very strange, and you probably find that you're not going to be friends the next day. So that's the type of film Feast is. I thought it was absolutely fantastic as far as entertaining an audience and as far as capturing the true essence of what a horror comedy is. So overall, for Feast, if it sounds like your cup of tea, definitely go out there and see it. I'm going to give it 4 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.